Hi guys, welcome back. I hope everybody's having a good holiday. I just got back from vacation myself, all rested up, and I wanted to do an easy video, something that I didn't have to edit too much. And I have had a couple questions about the suicide masteries since I started making a lot more videos recently, and I thought I could just go over what I consider to be the best suicide mastery build, at least for me, and sort of explain the reasoning behind a few choices I've made. I think it makes sense to start with the utility tree and just talk about suicide masteries in general. I find that the suicide masteries help you do so much more in this game quickly, and so what you're really gaining from them is saving yourself real world time. You know, like because we all have real lives and other stuff to do outside the game, obviously, and if you can kill somebody or end a fight 60% faster because of a few masteries, then that seems worth it to me. You know, if I'm using a few more potions because of that, don't care. It's worth it. Tons of people have different opinions. You know, some people don't arena grind. The suicide masteries are mostly useful for arena grinding, but they're useful in other scenarios as well. But you know, people who don't arena grind, who mostly focus on Alliance War, Alliance Quest, they're probably going to be better served with, you know, not using the Suicide Masteries. But this, what I'm about to explain today, is a sort of MCOC lifestyle of how you can live with the Suicide Masteries through Alliance War, through Alliance Quest, and not really, you know, suffer the consequences of what really is. It all comes down to recoil. That's the big bummer about suicide masteries. So anyway, we'll start with utility. In order to get all the points you need to make the suicide masteries worth it, you really need to slash your utility. What I have found in the past, I've tried builds with Pacify, because Pacify is really useful. I've tried builds with Petrify. I've tried builds where I've maxed parry. Obviously, I don't have that maxed here. I've even tried Mystic Dispersion with suicides, and you know, they're all got their uses, but that hasn't worked for me. I found that Stupefy is the only one that I absolutely need to have maxed. It's good for PI bonus, which is good for the arena. It affects all champions because parry is a stun across all champions, and champions that do have stuns, it really helps them out as well. Dexterity is only 1 point in any mastery build is all you need in dexterity. Limber, there can be some arguments for Limber for Alliance War Defense, even Labyrinth of Legends. If you get caught, Limber might be able to save you. The big one that's probably controversial on my build here is parry. I only put 1 point into parry, and that's because the first point gives you 15% reduction, and the second point only gives you an additional 5%, and the third point only another additional 5%. And the stun duration is really minimal. The Stupefy is really what helps the stun duration with parry. And so I found that those 2 points I can use better elsewhere. So that's my utility. It's really basic. And the reason it's basic is because you need to stack your defense in order to counteract these suicides that you're putting on. So this is my defense build. I've also bounced around a lot with this. I used to run energy resistance and physical resistance instead of this bottom row to get my points for willpower. But I decided against that recently because, well, for reasons I'll explain right now. So I have my basic, you know, tree up to salve and recovery. Salve is not crucial, but you do need the points in order to get willpower. And I really like salve. It's got a huge PI boost for what little benefit it gives you. Kind of like stand your ground. And if you're running lower rated champions, you know, it actually has a huge benefit for the heal. It's like the equivalent of a few health potions, maybe like a level 2 health potion every fight. So it keeps you going. I do put in 4 out of 4 for block proficiency. That's extremely important. I do just 1 for perfect block. The benefits of this are really small, 4% at max level. I don't think it's worth it. Stand Your Ground is it began as just a PI boost. It has a huge PI boost for the first 2 levels, and level 3 doesn't give you any PI boost. And the reason PI boosts are important is for the arena, you get more points. But lately, the AI has been getting better and better, and they've been throwing heavies, and stand your ground's actually been saving me a few times. So I kind of like it. I'm pretty happy with it. But all these points are just to get you to willpower. Willpower is the most important one here. So I like to max willpower, get that 0.7% regeneration. And I also like to max coagulate. I like coagulate because it scales really well, 10%, 20%, 30%. You're getting a lot of reduction in the bleed damage for each level of there. Suture, Suture's interesting. Suture works with Suicide Masteries. I have tested it. I had it maxed for a long time, but I recently decided that 1 point was better because I would get the 10% for first point, and I was only getting an additional 5% per additional point. So, you know, I thought it does actually save you health each fight. It really does. But I think the point is the most useful point in Suture is the first point. All of these defensive masteries are in order to get to this tree right here and allow you to survive this tree. So I have my standard points in offense, max precision, max cruelty. I do like 1 point in courage for the PI boost, and also courage is a good mastery. And then we get to glass cannon. I max glass cannon currently, but there's something about that I'll talk about in a minute. And then you get to recoil. 1 out of 3 recoil is all you want for like 99% of all builds. There's something interesting about recoil I wanted to try if I ever get my hands on a 5-star magic. If I had a 5-star magic duped before I had gotten this Stark Enhanced Spider-Man, she probably would have been my first 565, and I may have maxed recoil with her because she can rewind the damage. So you'd be hitting SP2s that are just insane with the max recoil. But yeah, we're not going to unlock that even for a while. And then you've got Liquid Courage and Double Edge. It's important to max Double Edge first, and that's because when you're fighting against an Archangel, he will convert the poison and bleed into a neurotoxin if you max Liquid Courage first. So just keep that in mind when you're building a Suicide Mastery build. It took me a while to get in the habit of that because I always used to do Liquid Courage first. Let's see. And then we've got down here our kind of advanced offense tree. We've got, Despair, Deep Wounds, and Assassin. Now I run 3 out of 5 Assassin, and that's because 3 out of 5 Assassin is equivalent to the attack boost that a 3 out of 3 glass cannon gives you. It's interesting. If you multiply the 18%, because that's when it kicks in, times the 40%, you actually get the 7.2% here. So the additional 2 points in Assassin are actually equal to the 2 points extra that I'm putting into Glass Cannon. So there's a huge argument to be made that the 2 points extra in Assassin are worth it because on the top of the additional attack for the fight, you're getting a 4% extra ability accuracy reduction because it goes from 16% to 20%, and that's good. That's useful. For now, I'm going to be running Max Assassin instead of Glass Canyon probably when I get into the Labyrinth again. But for now, I like to keep Glass Cannon because I find that mostly like with arena fights and AQ fights and Alliance War fights, when I'm down below that 18%, most of the time it's just 1 or 2 more hits until the opponent is dead, and that last hit is extremely overkill usually. So I'm not actually seeing the benefit from Assassin maxed out. So I just keep the balance between Glass Cannon and Assassin right now at 3 points in each, but I can definitely see why people would argue for Assassin over Glass Cannon. That goes as well for Deep Wounds. If you do have Blade as your top champion or some character like Gwenpool that benefits a lot from Deep Wounds, there's some arguments to be made, like even subtracting from Coagulate or Suture in order to max Deep Wounds. You could even take points out of Assassin and Glass Cannon to maximize Deep Wounds. It's important to have that master maxed if you have a champion that relies heavily on bleed. I have Archangel. I might have to start going to that build, but for now I'm not going to because his bleeds do last a long time, and the object of those bleeds is sort of to convert them into neurotoxins. So you know, they're kind of coming and going frequently, so I'm not sure how much use he would get out of deep wounds. He definitely would get a lot of use out of against a poison immune champion. But yeah, this is my mastery build. This is the one that I run for Alliance Quest, Alliance War, Arena, questing, everything. This is the one I ran for most of Act 5. I did switch out my masteries towards the end because I was coming into fights that I really wanted to start spamming my specials. But anyway, going on to some of the, reasons that Suicide Masteries can be made useful in this game, and we're gonna see here, is if you build your sort of maxed out champions around your Suicide Masteries, you can actually end up doing tons of damage and surviving totally fine. For example, Hyperion is poison immune, so he doesn't actually take any damage from the Suicide Masteries, except for the recoil damage, and he has a built-in heal. So he can actually spam the specials, heal back when you need to, and it's all good. This is my sleeper champion for Suicide Masteries. He is like MVP with Suicides. His ability to reduce the damage from poison by 65% actually nets him a heal with Suicide Masteries. So I'm constantly using his special 2, which can crit for like 15,000 damage. And you finishing fights, and I'm always healing up, and he stays at like 100% most of AQ, you know. And if I ever do get in a pinch and start taking hits, he's got some really nice physical resistance built in. Let me see where that is. You know, I don't know. He's definitely got some. Oh, here it is. 597 increased physical resistance, and he takes, you know, a lot less damage from parries and blocks because of that. And then I'm able to heal him up over time if I have a few good fights in a row. We've got Angela. She actually nets a heal with Suicide Masteries, so that's really good. That's due to her ability for every time she loses 10% of her max health, she gains a buff that regens 5% of her max health. So with Liquid Courage, you're constantly losing 10% of your max health, even though you're regaining it mostly by willpower. But her buff still kicks in. You've got Iceman, who's double bleed immune. You've got Gwenpool, who relies mostly on using her special 3. You've got Magic, who rewinds recoil. You've got Archangel, who's just like a parry heavy monster. He doesn't totally rely on his specials. You mostly get to your most of your damage from parry heavy. You've got Dr. Voodoo, who nets a heal at the beginning of the fight and can basically negate a couple special attacks. So what you can do is you can build up a bunch of Loas, hit a special 3, build up to a special 1, launch that, and then he'll lose 5%, but you'll regain that at the next fight. Quake, who barely has to use her specials. You don't even have to hit anybody. You got Mordo, who's got a built-in regen on his special 3, which special 3s are protected against recoil. And you got Spider-Man. Spider-Man is not good with Suicide Masteries, and he is my max champ right now, but he does hit ridiculously hard. I'm hitting for over 10,000 damage on my medium hits with the Suicide Masteries and some poise charges, so it's absolutely insane. Captain America I just took him up because he's not good with Suicide Masteries either, but he's all right. He's fine. And let's see, there's other champions where I would say do well with Suicide Masteries. Let's see here. Excuse me, not maxed. Dormammu, totally fine. Hulk, he's poison immune. He's going to be fine. X-23 is going to be a great champion for Suicide Masteries. She's got that regen built in. Wolverine's great. King Groot's great. And these are champions who I would argue are actually better with the Suicide Masteries on than off. Cable's another one in my opinion. He regens a lot. But anyway, there's a way, if you decide to go this route, there's a way to build your champions around this, and that's kind of what I've been doing over the last year, getting my team into a place where I actually want the Suicides on all the time and can kind of thrive with them on. But everybody's got their own choices. This is just my build, and you know, maybe later when I go into Labyrinth, I'll do another video about, a different style build with without suicides, and see how people like that. They can sort of use it as a template if they want. But yeah, this is, in my opinion, the most efficient way to run Suicide Masteries. You get a really nice PI bonus as well. These PIs are through the roof: 15 to 30, 9,700 unduped. Mordo's almost at 8,000. He's only a 4-star. So and these no boosts are on right now. But anyway, guys, sorry this dragged on a little bit longer than I wanted to, but Suicide Masteries are a fun topic for me. I really like them. And if anybody has any questions about them, I've been running them for over a year now, just continuously. The only thing that is kind of a problem is Alliance War defense, but there's almost always a bunch of people in your group that don't run them, and you can pick your war defenders kind of in a similar manner as your offense, just immune champions, all or nothing nodes. There's bleed and poison immune nodes in Alliance War, so it's not the end of the world for an Alliance defense. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Hope you guys are having a good holiday, and take care.